Hello, my dear friends. English is full of strange expressions, but some of them come from centuries-old customs, battles, and legends. Today, we're exploring 5 idioms that carry history inside them. Stories of medieval life, ancient justice, desperate choices, and heroic rescues. Their origins might surprise you, and their meanings might be deeper than you think. Let's begin. The first idiom, by hook or by crook. Origin. This idiom means achieving something by any possible method, fair or unfair. Its origin goes back hundreds of years and is surrounded by several fascinating theories. One theory says it came from medieval Ireland, where peasants were allowed to collect firewood from forests, but only using tools called hooks and crooks. This meant they could take what they needed by hook or by crook, but nothing more. Another story claims it dates back to the time of King John of England, when he declared that villagers could cut down any branch they could reach with a shepherd's hook or a reaper's crook. A darker version suggests thieves used hooks to steal from market stalls, and if that failed, they used a crook, a bent walking stick, to pull items toward them. Whatever the true origin, the idiom became a symbol of determination, achieving a goal by any means necessary. Examples and context. She said she would finish the project by hook or by crook. They were determined to win the contest by hook or by crook. He planned to reach the top by hook or by crook. If by hook or by crook sounds old and rustic, our next idiom comes from ancient measuring, before rulers even existed. The second idiom, rule of thumb. Origin. Today, rule of thumb means a practical guideline, something based on experience rather than strict logic. But its origin stretches back centuries into a time when people relied on their bodies as measuring tools. In medieval England, the width of a man's thumb was considered a simple, reliable unit. Carpenters used it to measure wood. Brewers used it to check the temperature of beer. If the brew was too hot for their thumb, it wasn't ready. Farmers used their thumb to measure planting depth. The idea was simple. Your thumb was always with you, so it became a trusted, everyday rule. Contrary to a popular myth, the expression did not come from an old law about husbands beating their wives with a stick no thicker than a thumb. That story appears nowhere in historical law and was invented much later. The real origin is practical, not violent, a rule based on a craftsman's thumb. Examples and context. As a rule of thumb, water boils faster with a lid. A good rule of thumb is to save 10% of your income. Chefs say a rule of thumb is to taste as you cook. Rules can guide us, but sometimes people choose to look away from rules altogether. That leads us to a famous idiom of avoidance. The third idiom, turn a blind eye. Origin. This idiom comes from a dramatic moment in naval history involving Admiral Horatio Nelson, one of Britain's greatest commanders. Nelson had lost sight in one eye earlier in life. During the Battle of Copenhagen in 1801, his superiors signaled him to retreat by raising a flag. Nelson, eager for victory and unwilling to abandon the fight, lifted his spyglass to his blind eye and said, "I really do not see the signal." He ignored the order, continued the fight, and won the battle. His act became legendary, and to turn a blind eye came to mean deliberately ignoring something you don't want to deal with. Examples and context. The manager turned a blind eye to the small mistakes. Teachers sometimes turn a blind eye to harmless pranks. He turned a blind eye to the broken rule. But while Nelson ignored a signal, others in history invited conflict head-on. Some even challenged enemies in dramatic fashion. Let's look at the idiom that comes straight from medieval battlefields. The fourth idiom, throw down the gauntlet. Origin. A gauntlet is a heavy armored glove worn by knights. In medieval Europe, when one knight wanted to challenge another to combat, he would physically throw his gauntlet onto the ground. The gesture was bold and unmistakable. If the opponent picked up the glove, the challenge was accepted, usually leading to a duel or a formal fight. The idiom survived long after knights disappeared, becoming a metaphor for daring someone to face a challenge. It still carries the weight of medieval honor, risk, and bravery. Examples and context. The company threw down the gauntlet by challenging its biggest competitor. He threw down the gauntlet with his bold public statement. The debate began when one scientist threw down the gauntlet to another. And while knights challenged each other, sometimes they also rescued others. Our final idiom captures the romantic image of a heroic savior. The fifth idiom, knight in shining armor. Origin. This idiom comes from medieval legends and chivalric tales. Knights were trained to protect the weak, defend honor, and rescue those in danger. Their shining armor symbolized purity, strength, and bravery. In stories like King Arthur and the Tales of the Round Table, knights rode into danger to save people from monsters, villains, or impossible challenges. Over time, the image became a metaphor for anyone, man or woman, who appears just in time to help someone in trouble. Although the idiom often carries a romantic tone, it can also be used humorously to describe someone who solves a problem at the last moment. Examples in context: when my car broke down, my friend arrived like a knight in shining armor. She hoped for a knight in shining armor to help her with the move. The technician who fixed the system was our knight in shining armor. So today we explored 5 idioms with deep historical roots. By hook or by crook, rule of thumb, turn a blind eye, throw down the gauntlet, and knight in shining armor. Each one carries centuries of tradition, courage, or cleverness. Dear friends, which idiom is your favorite? Write it in the comments.